Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we're making this episode a drinking game.
Yeah.
We're making this an especially fun drinking game today. So anytime we say anything negative at all, I mean, anytime we are negative about anything, you're going to hear this sound. And that sound means that we have to take a drink to keep us positive and keep us on track. And we hope you have to drink along, ready for the challenge.
So grab yourself a picnic basket, down your shot. Don't get the soda upgrade because we're taking a trek to Babylon.
Pre-show shot. Let's go. Yeah.
I ran out of whiskey. It's a special version
giant
tonight.
Elephant anus.
Oh my God.
In your face.
Yes, it is.
Minutes into this, minutes into the movie.
And what a way to open. It kind of lets you know what you're in for, though. Like, to be honest. So this is a special version. We are doing. Oh no!
Ah, damn it! All three of us.
I didn't even explain the
All three
rules.
of us again. Shit.
Okay, so we're playing. Was it really that bad? It's been a while, and I feel like that this one kind of warranted this because it came out and everybody bagged the shit out of it. No one went and saw it. It didn't make a lot of money. Yeah. So we're going to try and redeem it, but we're playing in roulette mode, which means anytime anyone hits the buzzer, it's not necessarily that person's buzzer that goes off. It could be John's, Jeff's, mine, or anyone's, all of us at once. So whoever said the wrong thing might not necessarily get punished tonight.
That's right. We've done the debate before, but maybe a movie not so new, you know, where one person has to say something positive and the next person has to say something negative. But we're not there yet because I don't even know what you guys think of the movie. You could have loved it. I've definitely listened to podcasts for people who have loved this movie. I don't know what's wrong with them, but I know that exists out there. And we are a positive. Oh, it was me. It was me.
That was lucky.
The fates are with us. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I mean, this is Damien Chazelle. His first movie, Whiplash, was so good. His second movie, La La Land, seems to have people forget that when you saw it in theaters, it was so good. First Man, you know, and
First Man. I like First Man. Oh, come on.
There was good stuff in First Man.
Yeah, I'm a little confused,
really
Damo. Like, aren't you supposed to release the director's cut after the cinema release?
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, see, this is the problem now.
Oh, man.
John, that's it. Okay. So no, we want to keep it positive. I genuinely want to hear you like this movie. I genuinely want that. And there is a lot in this movie that's so great that reminds you of old cinema and all those things. I will say, anybody who says to me, it reminds me why I love the movies, I want to punch them so fucking hard in the face. I do. I can't help it.
I'm not going to.
It's Dave's version of when somebody gives him a note and says, Dave, I want you to edit this film, but I want you to make it look cinematic. That's what it is. It's that version for me. So I'm ready to talk about Damien Chazelle's Babylon with you guys. Great cast, terrible trailer, terrible timing. It decided to come out at Christmas, a 3-hour, 8-minute movie that opens with the elephant shitting on someone. So, you know, it's like, hey, family, let's go. Can you imagine? I saw that with my family. Just bring the 1-year-old niece in her walker and in her carriage, and then just opening scene is elephant poop. I am excited to talk about this movie. We always start spoiler free for those of you who are new to listening to our podcast. So about 10 minutes or so, we're going to keep it spoiler free. The elephant shit happened so early that doesn't count, of course. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to give you our recommendations of what we've been watching in our segment, What You've Been Watching. But you got to stick with us here because we have to get through our gripes of the week where we say some shit. So just, you know, scoot along 2 minutes if you want to get to our episode on Babylon right away. And you can't wait any longer. But first, we got to shout our sponsors out. So John, let's do it.
Carlos Barroso is our beer sponsor. You can find him in the show notes. That link is cbarroso.beer on Instagram, CBARROZO.beer. And all the music you hear on this episode and every single episode is provided by the artist Dasein, Dasein. You can find him on all the regular music platforms. Follow, listen, love, like that music. And please come at us. We are on all the typical social medias. You have our link tree and our show notes. Follow us, message us. Please rate and review us. Say anything negative or positive, we'll take it. And Dave might get back to you if you're lucky.
Yeah, we don't delete negative reviews at all. We leave them there for everyone to see.
Somebody's name?
Because
we said we were going to call out somebody. Did you get her name?
Is Erica Erica, thank you so much for responding to us in our Triangle of Sadness episode. We really appreciate it. We knew it was a niche movie that not a lot of people had seen, but it meant a lot to us that you reached out to us. So thank you so much,
Especially
Erica.
since she loved the film.
Especially since you love the film,
Yeah.
which is great. This is what we want, people. We want you to like the movie and be like, who can we turn to? The New York Times? No.
No.
Shit.
Fuck those guys.
This motherfucker.
I sell shit. So good.
All three of us. So thanks again, Erica. We really appreciate it. All right.
Something in my eye.
Anything? It's an audio podcast here. You gotta, put your game face on. So, Dave, anything you want to say before we get to our gripes of the week?
No.
Was that someone's printer? Did someone just get a fax?
What?
My dryer's done. Close already.
I thought you were Edward Norton. Oh, it's me. I thought you were Edward Norton in Glass Onion for a second.
Oh, yeah.
The more I think about the movie, the less I like. But at the same time, when I saw it in the theaters,
Glass
it was
Onion?
great.
Yeah. I was thinking
When
about
I saw
that
it in the theaters, it was
recently,
great.
too.
I saw it at home with my family. It was good. The more I think about it, why are these people hanging out with each other?
I actually will say one thing. Like this morning, I went to an early screening this morning at like 11 a.m. I think it was to see this movie, and
Babylon?
yeah, Babylon.
$13 million at the box office, $100 million budget before marketing. Go ahead.
Now they have my $13 million and $20.
They have your $13 million? Dave, I just watched the Madoff documentary on Netflix, which is bad reenactments, and that is a bad investment, man. You can't spend $13 million on watching this movie.
Oh, sorry, John.
John! All right.
Damn roulette wheel.
Dave.
No, I turned up and again, escalators weren't working at the Times Square AMC. And two of them this time because, and I suspect it was because the church group was in. There was a church group in. I won't name which church.
Escalators off?
Like you got to work for it. They don't have pews. Chairs, so you got to punish them in some way.
I don't know about you, John, but his word just cut out. He just said they don't have and I thought pubes came to my head here because it just cut off on my Zoom thing. So I hope your audio is clean. But in case our audience at home didn't hear,
clean. It was definitely
you're saying
not
the church doesn't have.
Do not have pubes.
Oh my god. Give us the hate mail, people. We need the social media.
I got punished
hate,
for John's shit.
Review us.
So yeah, there's a church group that rents out the theater. Obviously, they rent out a theater. They use it as a church every Sunday, which is fine. But now in the new year,
and AMC new like in Times Square,
Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah.
You said that very casually.
No, people rent out movie theaters in the boroughs, like in Minnesota. They rent out movie theaters to do their church, not in Times Square. Aladdin has a show next door.
These guys have been there for a while. But
Harry Potter's across the street. Madame Tussauds.
There's a porn theater just downstairs. But
8th Avenue still sells porn, and there's a strip club on 8th Avenue right there. And you're telling me this church is at fucking Times Square?
Better place. I mean, I was in New Orleans and I once saw Christians pull up out in front of the Hustler Club, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, you are really biting off more than you can chew there.
Right in front of the red carpet. I thought Michael Eisner and Rudy Giuliani got rid of all this stuff. I can't believe it.
They're renting this, but now they've got these people standing at the escalators with a barcode, like a QR code, greeting you with a sign saying we're happy you're here.
If I go to church, there's a QR code to scan, and it's like, this is not what Jesus intended. We just gotta just gotta admit it. You have to scan the
QR, get your penance and go. But no, they're there and they were saying hi to me. Hi, you here for the church? No. Second escalator, hi, you here for the church? No. By the time I got to the third escalator, I was a bit done with it. So they're like, are you here for the church? I'm like, no, I'm here to see Babylon. And in my mind, I was like, I can't let this go. I can't not say that. And the conversation just stopped right there. It was like, oh,
because you're telling the truth.
It's like, yeah, I'm here to watch like the most deviant thing you could possibly imagine in the on the top floor of the AMC Times Square, which is like, that's the shame floor where you go.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I hope they could hear it through the walls.
I'm here to see Babylon, and everybody went, ooh, there's a shudder throughout the theater.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure half the church group snuck in after me. But
Even people in the movie theater went, what? He is? Because how many people were in your theater, Dave? How many people were in your theater when you saw this?
3. And I was like, I'm pretty sure those 2 are up the back are like just masturbating. They were sitting really close together too, which was kind of weird.
People, they got to get their hands up. You know what I mean? All of us.
Hands up. Hand check.
I'm here to see Babylon. Babylon's in the Bible, from what I hear. Okay,
Yeah.
so we did our sponsors. Okay, that's Dave's. That's your gripe, all right? I don't know. We didn't set our gripe timer for you, but that's got to be your gripe, right?
That's fair enough. I'll
John,
take that.
you got a gripe for us today?
I guess it's not a gripe, but I do just want to call something out. Let's hit it, Dave. Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, great.
Oh my God, dude. What the fuck happened in the United States?
He knows
House
what
of
happened. He did this to
Representatives
himself, and he knows it.
It's
the never-ending story.
Oh my God,
He's
dude.
dumb, but he's not an idiot. He knows it's his fault.
I couldn't stop thinking this movie. I went and saw it the next night and the night before, just watching that. Nobody has watched C-SPAN that much in fucking decades. Yeah. And just seeing what was happening in there. That one guy that was in the zoot suit that had like 2-inch stripes. I don't know, just the whole thing just felt like this isn't the same world. Like there is some shit going down. That was super embarrassing.
Somebody put that close-up
entertaining.
Conversation he had into his ear, like Matt Gates' ear, to the Godfather music, and it was perfect.
I love how it's like, oh, the do nothing Democrats can't get anything done Democrats, and this is day one. I love how it immediately is like, ha ha ha.
If you
I feel like it's Joey and Chandler on the fucking horse going into the apartment, just being like, ha ha.
If you want something really fun to watch,
motherfuckers.
Because C-SPAN's coverage was awesome because they didn't have control over the cameras yet because there was no house. So the C-SPAN guys were fucking running with it. They were getting close-ups of everyone. And on TikTok, the bad lip reading guys have taken it and fucking run with it. It's amazing. If you find it,
I have seen
find them.
I think it was my brother who mentioned this. This is how stupid our government. I know we love democracy. By the way, we're not a democracy. We're like sort of a democracy. We're a republic. We're a representative. We're some kind of. There's got to be some kind of caveat. But I love how. There are, as of right now, now there are, but during this, there were no members of the House because nobody was sworn in. But at the same time, only members can vote for bills or movements, which is essentially what this is. So literally, there are no members, but they also are voting. That's like literally, like, dude, anytime somebody's like, the Constitution, you just have to be like, this is so stupid because this, like, there are so many things that literally don't make sense. We have people who are not members who are voting. And yet the Second Amendment with 26 words is basically the Bible. Like nothing makes sense.
No one in your
country.
government has done their job for about 6 fucking years.
No, that's not true. That's not true. We've never had a majority of people who all agreed to do the same thing together in our government. Oh, that's my pushback. Okay, can we just move the fuck on?
What's your gripe? What are you going to complain about?
All right, mine's quick.
Bullshit.
Guys, stop ripping pages out of books in TV shows and movies. Stop it. Well, I hate when I see people go in old libraries and old bookstores, whatever, and they go, oh my God, I could use this. And then they rip the book out. What the fuck? What if somebody needs that book in 200 years the way you needed it, you selfish bastard?
What about when they reboot the series?
What about when you know what I'm talking about. This came right out of Wednesday. Harry Potter just took the books back because they had the cloak. But when you rip pages out of the book and put them in your pocket, it's fucking barbaric, people. Come on. These are homes. These are treasures. If we knew what was in the Bible before the 10th century, maybe things would be different by now. But the only earliest Bible right now is from the 900s. We have no proof of anything before the 900s that Jesus, you know what I mean? So it's like 900 years of faith. I mean, in these books, you're ripping pages out. Gone is the legacy.
Come on. I've told, there are stories I've told in the earlier episodes. I'm pretty sure everyone can quote them verbatim now.
Me. Okay, people, we have to get into our episode of
Ripping pages out of books was the original screenshot. That's just how they did it, dude. There was no, if they needed one phone. My favorite is the phone book.
They didn't have
whenever
photocopiers.
They need one phone number, and they take the whole fucking page of the phone book.
So that next time they need it to make the phone call, they have to pull that page, figure out which side it was on, go through the alphabet all over again.
Oh God, that's so funny. One phone number. They can't memorize 7 digits. This was before area codes too, and they were like, "No, I need the whole fucking thing."
Guys, we memorize 7 digits for a fucking living. Whenever we get like we have the 2-factor authentication, and it's like, and if I'm not on my computer, and if I'm not on my phone, if I'm on my computer, I'm like, okay, 025321, 025321, 025321. It's not that hard.
Anybody wanting to steal Jeff's identity, he just gave you his social security. The last 5. All right, let's
all of us.
on.
Let's get into our Babylon episode. Exercise.
I don't know if I like this game.
On an elephant's asshole.
Spoiler free.
In the middle of the desert.
We want people to know, wait, I thought we were at Babylon. And then an elephant shits on a Mexican.
It hits the lens. The shit everywhere. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
The shit's all over the lens.
Okay, so let's get into our film here. So this is Babylon, written and directed Damien Chazelle, et cetera, et cetera. The stars Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Jean Smart, sort of Olivia Wilde, but Diego Calva, and God, they buried him down in the IMDb things here. I think it's Jovan Adepo. I'm sorry if it's Jovan Adepo. My apologies. And then
Sidney Palmer,
Sidney
the trumpet
Palmer.
player.
Correct. Yes. Okay, let's get into it. A couple good cameos in there as well. The story, I think, according to IMDb, is a tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess. It traces the rise and fall of multiple characters during an era of unbridled decadence and depravity in early Hollywood. Fellas, who would like to get us started with your initial takeaway? What'd you think? What'd you feel? Sorry, I was really far from my microphone.
And remember,
what'd you think? What'd you feel?
This is a was it really that bad episode? So we're working from the point of view that the world has decided it's bad. It's made about an eighth of its budget back.
Yeah.
So Dave, what do you think, dude?
I feel like the world forgot this existed, to be honest. I mean,
bad timing. I mean, the week after Avatar, right during Christmas.
Whoever made the decision to release a 3-hour opus on 1920s Hollywood, which is such a niche topic, filled with filmmaker inside gags, which were actually laugh out loud funny, to give them the credit. During the holiday season, was so heartbreakingly wrong. It makes me sick. There is not a lot wrong here. The cinematography is fantastic. I'm a big fan of those long one-ers. And they used them a lot in this, which, I mean, I feel like if they hadn't have done one-ers, the movie might have been shorter. But they did it, and they used it to great avail. The performances were all great.
So you're saying they do this thing where when you do a oneer, that timing has to be the timing for the whole movie, and so you're sort of stuck with it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. If they do so many of them, they can't edit. Like if it's if it's a oneer, there's no cut. You can't cut it for time.
No,
you're stuck for like whatever happens in the blocking of the scene. But yeah, like performances were fantastic. I don't think I didn't like any.
Nice try, Jeff. Keep going, Dave.
You went specifically for Jeff then? Especially roulette.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's just a neatest joke. It's a recurring personal inside joke for our fans.
Turn that button off again.
You went to a different page? Yeah, you went to a different page, dick. Okay,
yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, I went up to the top.
Tell us what you thought. That's what she's. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I dug every single performance in this. I didn't think there was anything wrong there. And I'm sure there was at least one plot thread that ran the length of the movie, to be honest.
At least one. You asshole. I'm coming for you. I got you. Oh, that was a roulette buzz too. Good.
All right, John.
All right. I'm going to go. I saw it last night with a fairly full theater. Not all the way full, but Saturday night in Los Angeles.
I had
Saturday night, and we are at the movie theater watching Babylon.
Yeah. Medium full in a medium-sized theater. Not one of the largest ones, but good crowd. Only had 2 walkouts. All right, I'm going to say about this movie what I don't think is being said enough about this movie. Dave, you kind of said it, but they did not lead with this in the marketing at all. I mean, they sort of did, but this movie was way funnier than I was expecting.
Yeah, but it was funnier to filmmakers.
So, yes, and I was going to say that as a caveat. Like, I know who I am and where I'm coming from, so I'm sure I'm laughing harder than people who don't get all those jokes. But it did make me laugh out loud a lot in the best parts of the movie. This movie is
Talking about the
very
first 2
ambitious.
hours?
Yeah, it's very ambitious. So that blurb you read about the story of Babylon could be about the making of Babylon. Like it's super, super ambitious. So you kind of can't stop thinking about that because the scale of it is just so much, and you're waiting for him to really tie it off. And I think anybody of any knowledge or fandom of movies in general, the longer a movie is, the more you feel like a filmmaker is trying to really say something. And I don't know if Damien Chazelle did himself any favors by making a cut quite so long just because of that, because I think the best parts of the movie exist in the meat of it, the first act and early part of the second act, and then it turns into something else. And I, unlike everybody else, I still did enjoy a good part of the latter half of this movie. But you know how I am with endings. It needs to really say, why did I watch this, and elevate it. And I don't think that it did that. I saw his ambition come through the strongest in the ending in terms of emotional, or what was supposed to be very emotional character wrap-ups that we can talk about later. And this a very interesting choice to have a very meta observation of film history in general through a very intense montage at the very end that I can imagine why some people like me probably felt like, I don't really know if that we were going there. And I don't really know if it elevated the movie beyond the best parts of the movie, which I think existed in trying to capture the comedic and absurd essence of these people inventing a craft in the middle of the fucking desert with decadence and debauchery all around them. I think he really captured that in the first half of the movie, and something kind of fell off towards the end for me. But I had a much better time than most people are saying, and I do think that, we've already said it, Paramount released this on the wrong weekend.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's mostly the release date for me. If this had come out in late November or very early December, I do not think we would feel this way about it. If this movie had come out the weekend after Amsterdam, we would have been like, fuck yes, that's how you do a giant ensemble piece. Sorry, Amsterdam, but you're the worst movie of the year.
Are you on a different page? Fuck.
No, I'm on the roulette page.
Okay.
I built this thing.
No, I didn't love the movie, but I didn't hate it. I saw it with the buddy. At some point, we did lean over to each other and be like, you got to give me a story or something. Because I know that there's sort of a story and there's sort of character through lines, but I think exhausting is a word that comes up a lot in the negative criticism of this. And I don't know how to talk about this movie without saying that it is exhausting, whether you liked it or not. And that's not necessarily a dig on the movie, but it is for me because the story was exhausting, not the sets, not the John.
Sure.
So
it does kind of feel like you did way too many drugs the night before, and you're like waking up super depleted, and you're like,
is this a reference to the movie? I didn't do any drugs the night before. Fuck, man, this came out on Christmas.
No, I'm saying watching it feels like that. I'm agreeing. I know what you're saying.
I see. So
you walk out of the theater and you're like, whoa.
Well, and it's funny too, because if you said to somebody like it has the biggest sets, outdoor sequences with 10 moving cameras all at the same time, horses impaling extras, and the extras strike, and if you the extras striking because they're actually just homeless junkies who want their pay to go get, there's a lot of drug references going on, and the way they chase Diego Calva's character around, and if you just said like the orgies, like, yeah, it's like, fuck man, it's so fun, but it's like the pitch, I don't know if people don't care because these kinds of big scale movies happen all the time, but they keep saying this movie, it's meant to, well, it's really about the death of the talkies. So 1926 to 1930, talkies, 1926, 1927, I think, is a jazz singer. It doesn't matter.
Death of silent films you're talking about?
Death of Silent Films, Birth of the Talkies. Yeah, sorry, the crossover, which, by the way, is Singing in the Rain. So I will say, it's funny when we get to the montage at the end. The montage actually made me mad, and I don't know why, actually. So maybe we can figure it out here. And John, you just mentioned it, but we'll put it later. I don't want to just be negative, because there was a lot of very interesting things. But the problem is, Singing in the Rain is really character driven. It's a very simple plot, very simple, and it's literally about the same exact topic. And they have the production numbers that get big, but you always know what your story is doing. And you know how this moment, this big production number, is going to affect your story as you go forward. And so to constantly remind us about Singing in the Rain, for me, this is sort of tangential, but sort of not. It kept reminding me that movie's better than this one. And so coming back to this movie, okay, it doesn't have to be plot driven in the same way. It can be I always want to say A Day in Hollywood, A Night in Ukraine, but that's a musical. Sort
Oh,
of.
no, don't say that.
Once Upon a Time.
Got him.
That was me. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which, by the way, Brad Pitt was not a fucking supporting actor. He's a great actor. I'm glad he is an actor. This fucking category fraud at its absolute finest. He was totally a lead. The whole third act was him. The whole plot was him. The Leo thing was like total. Okay. But you had two different characters.
I've never seen it.
They wedged it out. Dave.
Dave.
John, drink for Dave. So it doesn't have to be like that, but
This game is deadly.
long story short, there was great work between the characters, I think, but it seems like reminding you of old movies and the way they were done was the point, not the story. And the story never was good enough to get there. So you have these different, so they even they admit it in their marketing. They're like, this is about these characters rising and falling. But the truth is their rising and falling was exhausting to keep track of because you had these enormous set pieces. And I wasn't always clear how it was affecting my characters. So it was like I had characters and then story and then characters and then then the characters are in a different place and then story. And I think that the structure actually does it a disservice because you open with the first hour of the movie is 24 hours. And this is not I know it might seem like a spoiler, but it's not. It has the little scene that we keep talking about with the elephant fucking and Diego Calva, who is very clearly a nobody. And they
Shitting, not fucking.
Sorry.
The elephant is not fucking anyone, just for the record.
I'm so sorry. So it opens with this whole idea of somebody from the middle of the desert who's a nobody can make it in Hollywood. And it's the American story. And I think it's a good metaphor. All of the stuff's there. And then he's a fixer. And then Margot Robbie's on the way up. Brad Pitt's on the way down. You have all of these other producers, all based on true stories that are on the way down. But the orgy and the crazy decadence of this scene gets so crazy where I'm like, where is everybody? And even though the story's there, I'm getting a little lost to the point where the scene with Diego Calva and Margot Robbie, where they're with the cocaine, are explaining literally their whole purpose. I just want to be in the movies. I want to make it. I want to make something of myself. I want to be a self-made person. And she's saying, I'm already a star. People just need to see it. I thought it was a joke. I didn't take it seriously because the scene was filmed with this cocaine and this extravagance. It was fast and the lights. And then we go back to the orgy and it didn't sit with me at all. I literally didn't take it seriously. So that when Diego Calva rose, I was like, oh, he wanted to be a studio head? I didn't even know that by the time it happens. That's not much of a spoiler. He rises, whatever. And then the next scene, Diego Calva and Brad Pitt, I guess they connected, but it was very like Mank-ish, which was a total different tone shift. And then we go into the best scene of the movie where everything's moving around. But I didn't even know Brad Pitt was an actor. We are literally going through
the whole movie right now while Jeff's talking.
No, we're not, because this is the first 24 hours, and the movie takes place over 15 years.
The movie only goes for 48.
That's not entirely true. I think it's longer than that. But
I'm talking about the movie itself, the runtime.
So anyway, I'm the scene. If the whole movie
keep going.
Anyway,
keep going.
sorry. I don't mean to be harping on the negative stuff, but if the whole movie was just the first 24 hours of this person's life and it was Diego Calva as the lead and everybody else is a supporting actor, it would have been a fantastic movie. But by the time you're with the Tobey Maguire and you're underground and the Gene Smart Brad Pitt thing, when they were saying that scene, I was like, that's a great scene. That belongs in that's better than the rest of the movie. I just felt like it was exhausting keeping up with where they were at this whole movie. And then by the end, I was a little mad. So this is a positive film podcast. Where do we go from here?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine for you.
Let's go ahead and turn on spoilers because I want to ask you a question that might end up yielding some spoiler information.
We're in spoilers, everyone. People.
Jeff, I felt the same way. And I want to ask you, I didn't feel as strongly about what you're saying until the latter parts of the movie where he did have scenes like the Gene Smart Brad Pitt, the wrap-ups, we're in spoilers. Turn it off. Seriously, go see the movie if you want. The suicide, the breakup, the abandonment,
you gave them
the
5 seconds. You gave them
I
5
did. I didn't say who does it. I didn't say who does it.
Right now. Okay, you're right.
I didn't say who does it.
Because again, that was a
Jeff got
that was me. That was a really good scene. That was a good scene.
They're all really good. So what made me think, what I was frustrated about was that it wasn't until then that I felt like Damien, you're the best of our generation, dude. Like, fuck you. I respect you. You're like my age and I'm never going to catch up to you, dude. You're a fucking genius. But I did feel like in this moment, when I got to that part in the movie, I felt like this isn't the movie that I've been watching until now.
Yeah.
I was very prepared and ready to have kind of the Robert Altman, I'm just living in this world. I don't need to try to have, these things could happen, but I'm not supposed to necessarily feel really attached to them. But I didn't feel that way. I felt like he wanted me to be very emotionally affected by these people, like they were super earned for us to have this kind of catharsis with them, as opposed to just kind of moving through as an observational person in film history. And it wasn't until then that I started to feel like, uh-oh, something has shifted. I was actually okay with all of the what is happening and where are we going, because I didn't feel like I needed to really care. I was just watching this stuff happen.
What a glowing review. I loved it because I didn't feel like I needed to care.
No, I mean that in a good way. Like, have you seen, I don't know if you've seen, well, all right, two examples of really, really fantastic, like weird ensemble films. One is much less character driven and much more you're observational, like Nashville or,
LA Confidential, maybe. I mean,
93. Maybe. I think that one is still much more story driven. So let's go with Nashville, which is like a true like ensemble story. You really aren't supposed to connect deeply with any characters. Versus Boogie Nights, something like that is very character driven. And Paul Thomas Anderson gives you moments to connect with almost every single one of those characters, so that you have, because they all have a wrap up that you're supposed to really care about, and he earns it with a large arc for everybody. This movie sat in between those things for me, so I was a little confused. There were some of the best moments ever where I wasn't supposed to care about anybody, and it was just for laughs, and it was about what was happening to the industry, to the medium. That was when it was at its best for me. Yeah. And the people just happened to be the players at the moment. It wasn't until the latter half. So I guess really quickly, Dave, before you ask your question, don't forget it. If it hadn't done that, Jeff, if you had been able to just kind of move through time,
100%,
the suicide does happen, she does walk away, and you're not supposed to care, would you have been like, weird, that was fun, that was a weird random come back with wider shots, maybe literally sit back a little bit wider, not go as close in the last half of the film?
Well, the tonal shifts were still crazy. All of a sudden, I'm in Chinatown, I'm in Nightmare Alley. I'm like, the tone just kept shifting all over the place, which was also part of the exhaustion, because it was like space and time was getting bent. And he's fucking brilliant, so I know he did it on purpose. But yeah. Yeah, I would have enjoyed it more if it was just, if the ebbs and flows were just a little smoother. And also, Boogie Nights, there's time, because you have the 70s into the 80s, but that's probably the closest example. Nashville, it's the primary, so you have this time, you're building up towards this moment.
He tries to work with time here.
Yeah, sort of.
He does give you those
5
years. But I know what you mean. It doesn't feel, it's because the time isn't connected to characters. Whereas I think Nashville does work because it's in it's a slice of life feel the whole time. You're in the night, you're in the day of, which is, I'm piggybacking. That's why the first sequence, for lack of a better word, the first fucking 40 minutes of the movie is so interesting, because it does just, you're in a day in the life of this crazy, depraved early Hollywood. Dave, what were you going to say?
Was this his Pulp Fiction?
I don't want to call him out in a negative way, but I think it was in the world of that kind of place. I want to see what happens when I throw a lot of people into a large sprawling situation, because his films leading up to this,
because I drew some parallels
very character driven
in style.
Yeah,
just in the way it flowed. It was like you don't necessarily get a resolve to every story. And it's like some of them are wrapped up really quickly, but there are four main player characters.
I do feel like this was resolved, though. That's what was kind of weird. That's what I'm uncomfortable with. But the only thing that I kind of was like, is that I feel like he did try to wrap up everything for everybody at the end, and I don't know if it was necessary. I don't even want to use the word
Sydney's was quick.
I don't think it was necessary.
I really feel like Pulp Fiction, you really followed those characters. And this one, they were just like, I think this character will do some fun shit here. But it seemed like the bigger purpose was the feeling of the time period. And therefore, the characters were second the whole time. And so for me, I was kind of like,
so Hollywood was the starring character.
I mean, yeah, I think so.
I think he wanted it to be. Yeah. I do think he was hoping that was going to be the case. Jeff, you make a good point, though, that a movie like Singing in the Rain, which you kind of can't stop thinking about, and then he shows it to you.
Showed it to us twice in a way, right?
Decision. There's something that we're we're invited into their experience and Singing in the Rain. In a way, with this, I think you are supposed to be more on the outside, like you are a moviegoer watching the story of how movies got made back then. And I don't want to be too negative here.
Yeah, no, I get that as well.
Those opening sequences of the giant epic, the war epic, and then the first soundstage, those were hilarious and really entertaining.
I want to say
a couple of things. The Brad Pitt kiss was, I mean, that with the cannons in the background was so great.
It was good. It was fucking
you want to know the funny thing? When they were doing
Yeah.
that, like they send him off and he's like trying to get the camera and like he has to hijack an ambulance to get back, basically.
So
and
great.
I'm watching, like they kept cutting to the sun over the mountains. And I was getting,
they discovered golden hour, dude.
I was getting visibly upset the more we dragged, like the lower that sun got. Like I was like, it was the cinematographer coming out at me. It's like, we're fucking losing light. It really stressed the fuck out of me.
My favorite performance in the whole movie is the director of that first movie. That guy was he
German?
Funny.
What was his accent?
Yeah, whoever that fucking German guy was.
What about the camera hire guy?
Yeah,
man, that was funny.
I've been there.
Him and the assistant director in the first talkie that they do with. God damn it, he was.
Well, just
funny.
the guy that's in like Wolf of Wall Street that just like yells all of his lines. Yeah. He's just fucking.
Person who stays I will shit on you. I will shit in your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, as a theater sound guy, because I've done a lot of theater sound, like it's like, why are sound guys so intense? And like this one, like they really played.
So good.
Like that. I don't think that scene wouldn't have worked if they hadn't done so many takes, because you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
You have to go through it.
They did so many takes, and
that
then
was
they
another
finally,
brilliant piece of
they
the
finally
comedy.
got one, yeah. And then also they opened the door to the box, and the cinematographer just falls out, and it was like proof that cinematographers will let you do all sorts of things to them to get the shot.
Yeah,
because there is precedent.
Was that the cinematographer, or was that the?
That was the cinematographer. Yeah, they had to lock him in. They had to put him in a box because the camera made too much noise.
The camera was too loud. Yeah.
Right.
It was.
Oh my god.
Another brilliant. I kind of want to zero in on that sequence, so we'll come back to it in a little bit. But, the story, if you will, his choice to bring in this very specific arc of Margot Robbie's character about 2 hours in, that it's not that she hadn't been established as a gambler before then, but it wasn't really I wouldn't call it a strong enough.
It wasn't prominent. Yeah.
It was a breadcrumb. It wasn't a strong enough storytelling element that we knew this was going to become a problem for her one day, and in a way that we were supposed to really care about. I do think that that's interesting that he chose to bring it in so late when it would have raised the stakes on her entire arc if he had introduced it earlier.
Well, like the gambling stuff, the Tobey Maguire stuff specifically?
Yeah, that it's very specifically gambling. Like, they did a really good job, and they had so much fun with showing the fact that the public had issues with her demeanor, her sexuality, her accent, and her debauchery. They established all of that so well, and they had so much fun with it in like 3 or 4 sequences.
Public hasn't changed.
And the gambling ended up becoming the thing that was the actual threat. I felt like that was I don't know why he chose to put that in such a high stakes situation so much later.
Well, he went in abstract too, because everything is based off of something, right? So, Margot Robbie plays Nellie Leroy, who's based on Claire Bow. You have even Lee June Lee plays Lady Faye, who's based on people like Marlena Dietrich. The reporter is based off of somebody. Orville Pickwick was the guy that used to have those weird. He used to laugh and like have hookers and stuff, and he supposedly like had one OD on her, which is that guy in the opening segment. The Brad Pitt character is John Gilbert, Clark Gable, Douglas Fairbanks. It's all based on something. And then somebody asked IndieWire or Variety, one of them, was there really a party tunnel with orgies, rats, and alligators? And they just said, absolutely not. So this is just where, like, it's to the point where it's like all of these things are brilliant and he has all these ideas, but he's breaking his own rules anyway, because it's like it's just, this is how it was. This is how it was. That's not how it was. So now you're just doing these things. But no, but it's you, Dave. You fucking buzz yourself. But I think I'm not saying I'm obviously not saying like me in my bedroom, like I got you, Damien. But it's like it's so clear that this idea of reminding you of what Hollywood was like and these things really happened. But that's not really the case with this movie. It's not the truth. You made choices in here because I think in truth, it kind of, the reason I got mad at the end, and this is an interpretation, I can't possibly say this, but it sounds like they were saying movies were better then, you fuckers. Because they kept showing me these montages. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? I know Singing in the Rain's great. I know the feel. I think it was supposed to be the feeling he got seeing Singing in the Rain, what he earned, what we got, and the fact that there's a churn. Movies keep getting better, whether you're involved in them or not. Hollywood keeps getting better. You get in there, you fucking grind it out. You make money or you don't, and it's a wheel that keeps spinning. And then at the end, I get this, and I was like, fuck.
I took that because they cut back to him. Was he got a glimpse of what he'd started?
Yeah. I mean,
it was a little bit of a fantasy element, but again, it was very out of place.
I guess I didn't
right down to the calibration colors
he
on screen.
He took a risk.
Yeah, that was a risk. I didn't like it.
By pulling you out of a period piece, and I know this has been done before. All right, sure. I know this has been done before, but he's working in a period, and then he pulls you out. Not only out of the period, he pulls you out of reality and allows you to return to yourself as a moviegoer sitting in a seat, watching movies and thinking about the history of movies with that montage at the very end.
I did like the shot where it went up over the theater audience. Before it panned down the theater audience, it showed the diversity.
Yeah.
All great.
Like the full diversity in that, and then it came up over them.
It's a good choice.
That was great.
I liked that. I guess that's what we're saying is that, like, I don't know. I'm in fucking film school. We have these kinds of debates all the fucking time. Like, when do you push the envelope and risk, and when to not to? And my favorite parts of this movie were when they were rooted in, whether or not it was true, Jeff, when they were rooted in the reality it was set in.
Yeah.
And I feel like the departure from that, I don't know why. I don't know if I would want to deconstruct it if I knew him and he said, John, what do you think? But I don't think it worked for me going away from that and then returning to his tears. Yeah. I think I would have rather gone away down to that audience, come right back up, and he was having his moment.
Yeah.
And then we're just been like, yeah, of course he is, because we're all here in this theater, and that's what movies feel like when it's done well. And
tell me this.
The movie would have been about $80 million cheaper too.
Oh my God, it would have been so much cheaper. Do you think
it was Paramount, and those were all Paramount properties, so he was able to get those probably for free.
Probably free.
So
did it remind you of the montage in Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, where he just makes that like fucking like kinesthetic like? So anyway, I
wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah.
Here's an aesthetic question for you guys, and I'm a little nervous to ask it, just because I don't want to sound negative.
We've been doing it all episodes.
Was it really that bad?
No, I don't want to sound negative about. I don't want to sound negative about what's happening in society and people and the way we're all changing. We're all much healthier than we used to be, men and women. And this period was hard for me to totally believe I was in this period. Other than that shot of the extras who are supposed to be junkies, because those guys looked like they could have been emaciated men from the 20s. Every single person in this movie looked like they were in very good shape. Like, I feel like the extras in those party scenes, the women, a lot of those men looked like they were in shape for today. People did not look like back then.
That's true.
And it was a little distracting to me.
Dave.
Was it distracting to you guys? Like, there was so much wonderful authenticity in the way they designed everything, the music, even the actual practical lights that they were hanging around the place. A lot of them were very authentically timed. The way it was set, I love the contrast from this is all happening in a fucking house in the middle of the desert. Yes, because that's what Cahuenga Boulevard used to look like. That's what the Hummingbird Ranch, where it was set, that's what this shit used to look like. But
I liked when they opened on the studio with the lighting. And like the first light we got was the box the cameraman dives in. Yeah.
Yeah, the actual dissolves in. There were a lot of those things that they used in Mank before. But anyway, I was just wondering if that distracted you guys, because as much the Olympic filmmaking that was happening in those party scenes, I don't know if I believed that people actually looked like that back then. They were in amazing shape. Margot Robbie worked out like 10 times a day for this movie. I know she did. And I'm just wondering if there was a place in her mind or in Damien's mind where they were like, maybe you should not do as much strength training and try to just...
I think her character could get away with it a little bit, even though, yes, I imagine the it girl wouldn't be able to kickbox with the guy who invented Tybo. But I think that I am with you. But it was sometimes with just modern filmmaking, and you know this better than me, you two, just the way the look and the gleam and just the shimmer on everything. It's almost like everything kind of is going to look like a reenactment just because it looks so fresh. But at the same time, I'd rather that than black and white, because nothing bothers me more than when people are like, I'm going to put a movie in black and white because that's what they were like back then.
Dude,
I was
when
like,
they cut
cool,
to
you're
the
writing a
black and-
movie in 2023, so go ahead and put that in
when
color.
they cut to the black and white of Brad Pitt doing the kissing scene, I was like, golden hour is wasted.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. But that is what it would have looked like, though.
Me, shit.
I did not mind those two moments. I did not mind Margot's black and white close up with the tear, and I didn't mind Brad's.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
okay. But I mean,
Did you guys dig
relevant
the
for what you're
Seventh
saying.
Seal? Did you dig the Seventh Seal reference when they were pushing drunk Brad up the hill in silhouette
Yeah. There was also
for his final shot?
yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
falling, and they was just, God, it looked fucking
They
beautiful.
almost threw
dude.
up, but he's
little hit of Raiders there as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the golden
Yeah.
hour was fucking gorgeous, dude. It
Yeah.
was so pretty.
That's the reason they called
this,
that.
Man.
There's so much in this movie that's so well done.
There is.
It's just such a
That's the thing.
hodgepodge.
It's
such
a
fucking,
hodgepodge, and it's also very niche.
in a way, you're right, Dave. And that's something that I feel like I'm so biased, and maybe you're so biased, that I can't even relate to what the normal American audience would think about a movie that is so much about filmmaking.
You know, the funny
And not
thing,
to mention, we've
like,
already said this 3 times this year. We've said this.
we're
This is
literally-
another nostalgic movie about movies.
Yeah, but we're literally that makes us the same as Brad Pitt in the movie. Like he wanted, like he was all about the people that went and saw the movies and stuff, but he couldn't really relate to them because like he asked that guy like, "What's the biggest tip you ever got?" He's like, "Well, it was from you." So he was all about for them, but he wasn't part of that circle.
I'm surprised Brad did it
I know.
so soon. I feel like Brad he still could have had a fun life for a couple of years, but I guess they were insinuating that he can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
I
once-
think it felt a little
that
forced.
glory
It's a little
is
quick.
well.
that glory is addictive. I bought that hook, line, and sinker.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not
Yeah.
complaining.
How much would you have appreciated it more? And this is like the essence of the kind of storytelling I'm talking about, to keep it observational and not you're supposed to be a part of this kind of emotional. If we would have gone away from Brad in that scene, what if he would have followed him into that room, which was lovely, very The Shining, right? The wonderful steady cam up the stairs, following him into his room. We think he's going to kill himself. And he just comes back out with a cigar as he closes the door and he walks past camera, cut. And then maybe like 2 scenes later, we forget about it. Then you just see his obituary in the newspaper.
Yeah, I think that.
Something like that, where it would have been just like, we
I don't know
were a
if-
part
I don't know
of
if it
it.
would have worked if there
We
were
thought
2
it
in the
may have
paper.
happened, and it does happen eventually, but you don't feel
think-
like you have to, like, now you have to care.
Do you think
It's just like, this is what happens.
Do you think Damien might be thinking the understanding of modern audiences is they want the door slightly ajar, which if you're going to kill yourself, you're going to go ahead and close the door. But if you're going to go in the bathroom and then you see the blood and there's the shock element of that, I guess was kind of necessary just to
That's
sort of
absolutely
jolt
what
the
he was
film
going
a
Well,
little
I'm
bit.
not gonna lie. There were Dave, you're 2 wonderful filmmakers who make these kinds of movies all the time.
Never made a movie.
Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino and Paul Thomas Anderson. There are so many shots in this movie. And look, we steal from the best. You should steal from the best. Do it all the fucking time. Scorsese says it. Fucking steal your ass off in your entire career. But that was a moment that made me think very, very, very much of the legendary William H. Macy's Suicide and Boogie Nights. We follow him
my
out.
God.
We follow him in. Boom, gun to the back of the throat. But there was such an arc leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
And there was such a wonderful tone of dark humor until it's not funny anymore. Boom, 1980. And like it ends with this terrible...
Also, he had to kill himself because he killed them. Like he knew he couldn't live anymore.
Yes.
So it was like
Yes,
it wasn't
you're right.
just like I'm sad today. It was like, I
Exactly.
need to do that, but if I do that, I need to do this, and so you can A to
the
see
only
that
reason-
a little bit.
yes.
And, I mean, Brad Pitt still
The
lived
only
in a
reason I'm
mansion
bringing that up is
anyway.
because exactly what you're saying. I felt like we were supposed to have that kind of catharsis because that was a little bit of an end of a part of the movie. It moves on very quickly. I don't want to say it was the end of an act. I'm not sure where I would divide the acts in this film, but that one that was the first time I felt like he wants me to feel some kind of catharsis or deliverance by the end of this. And really, I just kind of felt like, I know he's going to kill himself. You can cut away
Yeah.
anytime you want.
maybe
'Cause
maybe I'm thinking too much about this, but back to the montage thing where I was mad. So now John.
I did.
I'm mad. So now I'm trying to figure out why. And I do know one thing is I really felt like they were like, they included the audience in the montage at the end. So it was like, you are a part of the churn of Hollywood. You have loved an actor one year and you are totally fine with never ever seeing them again. And that's their life. They expected to make money and make movies. And because you stopped caring about them, they might have met a terrible end, or they had to sell their house, or things went really bad after that. And when it came to Brad, I was like, I didn't do that. And I don't even know if that, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like I conflated those two things. And I do think he wanted me to. So I'm not even going to sit there and be like, I don't know what his intention was, but I do feel like he wanted us to reflect on how we watch movies and the history of movies and our involvement in them. The audience, he showed the audience. He wants us to reflect on our involvement in this. And there is a conversation to have about that. And I don't think he made that point very
Yeah, you know what? We're having a discussion about the end of this film, and I feel like film students forever are going to have a discussion about the end of this film. I don't know if that translates to the general public.
They might
I don't know
not
if it
see
translates to the general public, though.
No, I
It
know.
does, Dave, and you're right, dude.
Yes.
Well, so let me try to wrap that point up, because I completely know what you mean. And it doesn't help that we were all thinking about it, which is never a great sign. You can tell in that last montage, I was just thinking, like, I'm in school. If one of my colleagues put together that montage with a little bit of the beginning and end of the context of showing you this man who used to work in the film industry, going to watch a movie, boom, montage, we would say in a class of like a 12-minute, 10-minute short, we would be like, oh my God, this kid's brilliant. That was fucking brilliant. There's so much talent. But in the scheme and context of a larger story, if it doesn't help move a story or the emotional value of a character forward, it's not that it's valueless, but there's just as much of a chance that the brilliance and execution of the montage won't have the emotional impact you're hoping it will.
Nope.
So it's kind of the essence of what this movie was for me. Again, Damien Chazelle is a fucking genius, and we all know it. And I think that he made decisions in this movie still using all of those amazing skills he has, and in the context of his final edit, did not actually end up servicing the story. And therefore, I think people got frustrated by the last 20 or 30 minutes.
We can start to...
it.
Oh, fuck. We can start to wind this down by saying, I think there are some filmmakers like Paul Thomas Anderson who, even when they make a movie that I can't even begin to comprehend, Inherent Vice or even Magnolia, and they hit me in certain ways, but like Paul is meant to write and direct his own movies. I think Damien is at the point now with this movie, and look, there's so much great, and I know he's proud of it because I've listened to him on the podcast, and I feel like he's not that kind of person that can fake a genuinely like positive reaction to something. This is obviously the movie he wanted to make. First Man, we can disagree on. I thought some things about it were really cool. I thought the score and what I saw on screen did not suit me particularly well. I feel like he's at the point. You too. I feel like I feel like, and I'm a nobody in my bedroom. I get it. I feel like this is the moment in his career, and he already has other projects coming up. He already has other projects coming. The filmmaking in First Man is so great, but again, the story, I was like, I don't know. I feel like he's at the point, and Josh Singer helped him with that. But I feel like he could put writing off to the side unless he needs to write it. I feel like he could let somebody else or collaborate, but to write on his own and direct the movie, I feel like it would benefit him to not do that. I know Whiplash and La La Land, he didn't do that, but I don't know. That's what I think after seeing these past two movies of his. What do you think?
I know what you mean, dude, and I hope
Tarantino did this. I'm not
even gonna say I totally agree with that, but I appreciate you saying that, and I hope that I or him or anyone who ever has the good graces and talent to get to that position will look at their colleagues like Steven Spielberg and fucking Brian De Palma and people that are in the kind of style that he clearly like wants to be directing, and Martin Scorsese, who don't alter their own scripts every single time. They have a lot of influence on their scripts, a lot. But they are usually working with the greatest screenplay writers to help them elevate their screenplays to the level of their filmmaking talent. And if he wants to do that, God, I hope he wouldn't look at that as a slight on himself. if he ended up working with one of the best screenwriters today, and he ended up matching what he can bring to the screen through visual storytelling. So I appreciate you saying that.
The best example is Fincher working with Aaron Sorkin, and there's clips of the table read with just Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield, and so it's 4 of them at the table, and they are very kindly questioning everything. And I know that seems like a shitty way. You just want to have fun and make, but making movies, there's too many moving pieces. It has to be very, very everything. As Dave knows, you have to hit your marks. You have to set the marks in order to hit them. And I think at the table read, I'm sure Damien would have had an answer for everybody, but I think he would have gotten the hint that this movie coming out on Christmas of 2022. I don't know what he was going for, but he was out of touch with everybody else. That's what I think. Terrible to say.
Not to clarify, not that Damien Chazelle had anything to do with the decision making on the release date.
Right, that's true. That's true. That's
probably not his decision.
I mean, we don't
know what he was hoping for. And again, I'm still very curious how I would have felt about this movie if it had not been the 3rd movie we've seen this year about movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't do it any service in my mind personally that we saw.
Fabelmans is still my favorite over this.
But yeah, what was the other one? James Gray's. Armageddon Time.
But this isn't an autobiography. But yeah.
No, it's not.
It's not. And to what you're saying, Dave, Fabelmans takes that. We talked about the same elements of nostalgia, perhaps a little sentimentality, but Fabelmans funnels it through a very, very personal protagonist and character-driven experience of discovering that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was trying to do that, and I don't fault him. I just wish he would have stayed on the world. I wish he would have stayed with the Altman perspective and let us just kind of float through the history and not necessarily try to get too attached. And I think I would have loved it anymore. But I'm going to echo this again. I liked this much. I think I liked this way more than you did, Jeff. I think there was way more to appreciate. I laughed really hard in the theater. I can't remember the last time I laughed that hard.
I laughed a lot as well.
Out loud in the theater.
I must add.
In some of the sequences. Dave, I just wanted to say this. Dave, my favorite part, not my favorite part, there was so much to laugh at in that soundstage sequence, but they only did 8 takes.
You're right.
They made it seem like it was, oh my God, we're going again. It was only 8 takes. Oh my God, it was so funny. But the reactions, them discovering that stuff, I can't help but remember that I was listening to a really excellent podcast called Writers on Film, and he was interviewing some people who had written some books about Hollywood recently. And I've been thinking a lot about how this period of time that Damien is making the movie about, we take for granted so fucking hard. They were inventing this as they went. Oh, yeah. They didn't know what they were doing. There were no rules. There was no artistic precedent. They were just fucking making it up. They were doing whatever the fuck they wanted. And but because they wanted to, they were trying so hard
except for the sound
to entertain
guy
people.
Who knew exactly what he fucking wanted. He knew the exact specifics, and that's why he was an asshole.
Also, does anybody hear that? That high pitch.
That screw in your leg.
It's the screw in the leg. Oh man, that's funny.
Dude, to be honest, funny. I'm also a theater sound guy. I don't do sound for film because that's a whole different science. But yeah, I'm also a theater sound guy. And one thing that will always stick with me is the amount of people that complain to the sound guy after they see a show. They will literally come up and chastise you. It's like fucking YouTube free for all. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. I've had this. Yeah, I've had this happen several times. And the one thing that always stuck with me, I was working on Dusty the musical. It's the musical of the life of Dusty Springfield. And this sound guy that was working with me as the secondary audio operator, he had a quote I will take to my grave, which is, "Everyone is an expert at 2 things: whatever they do for a living and sound."
Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
That's honestly, why sound guys are such assholes.
Whatever they do for a living.
Yeah.
We're not fucking assholes. We're the coolest people. Always voted the coolest people to hang out with.
Fuck you, John.
Sure.
All right, people. That sound means that we have brought this episode to a close, and that means we need to finish up with a quick round of what you've been watching, our final segment of this year episode. So, Dave, we'd like to start with you. We just filmed our Megan episode where you told us a couple things, but anything else in the docket you want to recommend our folks today?
I started watching a show called Kindred. Interesting show. It's it's about a woman who moves from New York to LA through certain circumstances. She sells her like grandmother's house and moves over, and she starts having what can only be termed as like waking nightmares of traveling back in time to like previous lives as such, or like a previous lifetime. And it comes to pass, like they go through the whole episode, and it finally, like, I'm 2 episodes in, I'm like fucking hooked. But like it comes to pass that she's not having waking nightmares, she's actually going there. And her mother is trapped there as well, who she thought was dead. So like that's a slight spoiler to get you interested, but it's not a spoiler. You kind of know that from the start. But yeah, it doesn't really spell that out at the beginning, so it flounders a bit at the beginning, but it gets real good by the end. Kindred,
produced by Darren Aronofsky's company, produced that.
Nice.
You're welcome.
All right, John. What have you been watching?
Nothing new. Somebody Feeds Phil. What about you? I'm ready to start watching stuff again. You know what I'm about to watch? I'm gonna say it out fucking loud so you guys can hold me to it. I'm late to the party. I'm busy as fuck with school. I still haven't seen Chef, and I'm excited.
Oh, cool.
Not Chef, Bear. Excuse me. About the Chef.
The Bear. Okay, cool. You like it?
The Bear.
I haven't seen it either.
I think you're gonna like it. It's good.
I should watch that. Yeah.
I watched The Pale Blue Eye. We talked about. I like Scott Cooper a lot. The movie's very slow. It's very slow, and he really lets that Edgar Allan Poe character make a lot of very big acting choices. He let it turn into an acting class, which is great. I'm not against that. It's just
is it? Does it work, or is Christian gone too far?
No, it's not. He doesn't play. He doesn't play Edgar Allan Poe. Christian's fine. Christian plays it a little straight. I'll wait till you guys see it. I'm curious to see what you think.
Should Scott Cooper have done what Paul Thomas Anderson did with Daniel Day-Lewis in the first week of filming There Will Be Blood and said, you might want to look at the dailies. You might want to watch them. I'm not saying anything, but you might want to check them out just so you can see it.
I don't think it's that egregious.
Jeff got it.
Fuck. Okay. No, but it's good though. It's good. You should see it. The look is good. The feel is good. It's just,
I can't wait to ski it. I really want to.
To ski it, it's very slow. I was like, this 2 hour and 10 minute movie's got to be pretty. It's got to be almost over, and I was 40 minutes in, so it's very slow. It's good though. It's good. And then I watched the first season of Slow Horses. I knew I would like it.
I can't wait to watch that.
It's so obviously a show I would like. Well, yeah. I think it's. I don't know. I'm not gonna say to be like it's so good. Like it's the next Yellowstone, but like I've never seen Yellowstone.
Is Yellowstone that good? Yeah.
It has 2 spinoffs. I mean, like
yeah, fair.
But it was a whodunit. It was a British sort of spy whodunit. But I thought it was going to be something a little different. But that's like what it just sort of turned into. It's not a whodunit. It's just like a spy thriller. But it's funny because Gary Oldman's character basically just plays like your typical alcoholic who just happens to be in charge of a fledgling MI5 wing. It's great. So Slow Horses. Season 2 just came out, so I haven't seen that. But Apple TV Plus, check it out. Okay, folks.
We did it.
Babylon.
We did it.
2-episode day. Dave, I hope you get your full night's sleep.
What is our ultimate? Let's give our ultimate one final word. Jeff, was it really that bad? Jeff's saying yes. Yeah. I'm saying no. Dave, are you saying no?
I'm saying no.
All right, we redeemed the movie. We redeemed it.
Jeff cops the buzz.
I deserved it. I still think people should see it, but I can't convince somebody. I can't tell people 3 hour and 8 minutes. You're gonna go for it.
It wasn't that bad.
You're gonna love it.
I didn't look at my watch until 2 hours in.
I definitely did. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much, film fans.
You were texting us half an hour in.
Only at the beginning.
I was texting in the theater.
Once. 30 minutes into that movie, I still didn't know.
Pulling you up, motherfucker. All right.